बराबर की
नहीं यार टाइम लगेगा उसको।
हेलो 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 हेलो
हेलो
हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो हेलो वो एक्चुअली यूट्यूब से आ गई थी, है ना। यूट्यूब पे जो बोला हमने यूट्यूब से आ गई। हेलो यार, बच्चे कब लाके बैठाएंगे? बच्चे कब लाएंगे? जोरावर कुछ बोलोगे? टेस्ट करो अपना माइक। हाँ, मैं नीचे जा रहा हूँ, है ना। हेलो 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 मोहित इको 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 जीरो करो हेलो 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 लेता है उसके तुरंत बाद इसको बंद कर देगा ठीक है हेलो हेलो ठीक है हेलो। यार ऑफ हो जाता है, इसको ऑन करो।
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Swapna, you are audible.
Uh, Good morning, sir. Prutha here. Sir, our Vishal sir is joining in just 2 minutes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Shall we start now?
Sir, wait for 2-3 minutes as the speaker is not joined still now.
Yes, sir, speaker is joining in just a minute now. Also, sir, can you please keep the camera on of the auditorium so that we can see the students?
It's sir.
Auditorium view is already on.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, just a minute, sir.
Ma'am, are you going to share your screen?
No, sir, Vishal sir, who is the speaker, he will be only sharing his screen. So he's just joining in a minute. So he will be sharing his screen from his laptop. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Speaker is joining and sharing his screen. Sir is trying to join. Kindly let him know. Yes. Sir, our speaker has joined, sir. Good morning, Vishal sir. Thank you so much for joining.
Good morning.
So shall we start, ma'am?
Yes. Vishal sir, are you able to share your link, your screen?
Just a second, I'm sharing that. Okay, all right. I think the screen is visible now.
Yes, sir.
So,
All right.
first of all, I request to Swapna Singh, ma'am, to give an introduction about the today's webinar.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Today we have gathered to attend a series of webinars which is running by Pratap University. And in this series of webinars, Mr. Vishal Chaudhary from Clinical India is guide us on the importance of profession-ready training and clinical research in pharmacovigilance. Mr. Vishal Chaudhary having a vast knowledge of clinical research. Before starting this session, I welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Dr. Abhay Kumar Sir, Dr. Nidhi Chaudhary Ma'am, Chief Development Administrative Officer, Professor Hitesh Kinger Sir, School of Pharmaceutical Science. And I also welcome Mr. Vishal as a speaker of today's session. Now I would hand over this session to Dr. Hitesh. Please, sir.
So first of all, I'm thankful to Swapna ma'am for handing over the session to me. First of all, I welcome to Mr. Vishal on behalf of Pratap University family, as we are in the process of organizing different type of webinars. As today we have the pleasure that Mr. Vishal from Clini India is with us. So now I'm handing over the session to Mr. Vishal. Mr. Vishal, please continue the session.
Hi, good morning, sir. Thank you, Hitesh sir, for having the introduction and handing mic to me. I also welcome Swapna ma'am, and I welcome all respected directors, principal, faculty from the college side, and I especially welcome all my dear friends for joining the session here on time. I hope my voice is audible and clear to you all. Could you please confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, thank you. So as all the people know that today's webinar has a really special importance, because today we are going to talk about the industry's most booming industry, which is clinical research and pharmacovigilance. Now, to have a discussion on this topic is really important because there are so many candidates are actually planning to start their career in this industry. Now, before we plan to start our career, it's really important for us that we should have all the understanding and knowledge about the industry. We should have the information about it. And that is the objective of today's webinar. So today we are going to talk about what is clinical research, which are the different domains are involved in clinical research, which are the different profiles, domains you have available where you can plan and start your career immediately after completion of your graduation and post-graduation. We are going to talk about the industries and the companies where you can take a placement. And most importantly, nowadays, when any company is hiring any candidate, then what are those expectations and the criteria the company has that we're going to discuss in the today's webinar. So as far as clinical research and clinical trial is concerned, nowadays this concept is known to everybody. Everybody knows that what is a clinical research and clinical trial. And why we all the people are aware with this concept, because we was in the pandemic situation. So start from the first wave of COVID-19, everybody was expecting that some country or some company should find out some robust treatment, some vaccine or some medicines where we can prevent this COVID-19 situation. And start from first wave itself only, we was coming across with the multiple news channels and the newspaper where we normally heard the news that XYZ company was doing some phase 2 trial, few company was doing some phase 3 trial, and very soon we will get some new vaccines. With this kind of information, we understand, yes, there is some clinical research and clinical trial happen by which we are getting some new drugs, some new molecule or some new vaccines. But being a clinical research professional, it's really important for us to understand the exact concept of clinical research, because there are still so many people assume that clinical research is something where we only developing some new drug or molecule. But actually, clinical research is not restricted or limited with this information. Clinical research is a very vast domain. If you go by the definition, then you can understand that clinical research is a branch of healthcare science that determines the safety and effectiveness. Now, these two keywords are very important. We have to determine the safety and effectiveness. But whose safety and effectiveness we have to determine? So we have to find out, we have to determine the safety and effectiveness of all those product and procedure that we are going to use as a treatment purpose on human being. So when we talk about the treatment, it contains our medications, devices, diagnostic product, treatment regimen, that everything which is intended for the human use comes under the clinical research. Now, in clinical research, we understand we have to determine the safety and effectiveness. But does it mean that for every single purpose or for every objective, we can start to do the clinical trial? Is it really possible to do that? The answer is no. We could not do the clinical trial or clinical research for every single reason or for every purpose. There should be the right objective. There should be the right purpose to conduct the clinical trial. Why? Because doing clinical trial is actually not an easy task. It's basically a time-consuming process. It takes around 4 to 5 years to conduct one single clinical trial. In this 4 to 5 years, lots of money is involved. It means doing clinical trial is very expensive process. But the most important part over here is that human beings are involved in a clinical research, and that's the reason doing clinical trial can be very risky. That's why we should know the exact purpose, or we should have a right objective to conduct the clinical trial. So let's assume that where we can do the clinical trial. See, if you're involved in a new drug discovery or you're developing an entirely new drug, then you definitely have to do the clinical trial because you have to find out the safety and efficacy of this new investigational product. But there are so many companies are available in market who are actually not involved in a new drug discovery. They're not developing an entirely new drug. So what it does, they normally take the existing drug or the molecule which is already available in a market, and they're trying to find out the new uses of this existing drug. How we can use a single drug into the multiple purpose, most of the companies are trying to find out these things. To understand it in better way, we can take an example of paracetamol. We know that being a single molecule, how paracetamol can be utilized for the multiple purpose, right? So whatever may be your objective, either you're developing an entirely new drug or you're taking existing drug and trying to find out the new uses of it. In both the cases, we have to conduct the clinical trial. We also have to do the clinical trial for the assessment of medical devices. Medical devices like your surgical instruments, your bandage, your stent, we are conducting clinical trial. Most of the researchers are trying to find out the new drug delivery system. To do the assessment of new drug delivery system, we are conducting clinical trial. In the process of vaccines development, we are conducting clinical trial, and also for the assessment of a new surgical procedure. Because there are lots of new surgical procedures are coming in the market, by which it becomes very easy for us to conduct the surgeries. And such kind of a surgical procedure gives the benefit to the patients and the society as well. So if we have any of this objective, then we definitely have to do the clinical trial in this process, right? I hope you're clear with this first concept, a very basic concept of clinical research. Now, moving ahead to the most important part of today's webinar, where we have to understand that which are those major core domains into a clinical research, where you can start your career immediately after completion of your graduation and post-graduation. Basically, there are major 4 core domains into a clinical research: clinical trial management, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, and medical writing. Now, let's understand that what exactly happens into each and every domain. So very first and the very basic domain is your clinical trial management. As the name suggests, in a clinical trial management, we have to manage the clinical trial. And how we are going to manage the clinical trial? So we are conducting clinical trial into a multiple phases. We have a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. When we actually screen our investigational product by passing it through all these phases, then eventually we understand whether our product is really safe and effective or not. So the professionals who basically works under the clinical trial, the major responsibility on them is to find out the safety and efficacy of this new investigational product. And at the same time, if we can gather or collect any additional information related to that product, we're getting it by doing the clinical trial. Now, anybody of you who is interested to start your career into a research or into a clinical trial, for you, this clinical trial management can be a very good career option, where you can start your career by taking profile as a CRC, Clinical Research Coordinator, or CRA, Clinical Research Associate. These are the profiles are available where you can start your career into a clinical trial management. All right. I hope you are clear with this first concept. Now, moving ahead to the second, again, a very important domain into a clinical research, which is your clinical data management. Again, as the name suggests, in a clinical data management, we have to manage the clinical data. And why it is really important to manage the clinical data? Because Your clinical trial is not successfully completed until and unless you're not done with the inspection and audit of this clinical trial. Obviously, your inspection and audit is definitely going to be happen based on the data and document that you have generated through the clinical trial. And that's the reason it becomes really important for us that we should manage all the data in a high quality manner. And at the same time, we should also maintain the accuracy and credibility of all this data. And that everything we are doing under this clinical data management process. So while we're managing this data by this process, we can actually compile all the data. We can do the statistical evaluation of our clinical trial, and we can find out whether our clinical trial is really giving the anticipated results or not. So anybody of you who is interested to start your career into a clinical data management, you can start your career by taking profile as a data process associate, data analyst, data specialist. These are the profiles are available where you can start your career into a clinical data management. All right. So I hope that you're clear with this first two domains, clinical trial management and clinical data management. Now, moving ahead to the third, again, a very important domain, not only into a clinical research, but in an entire healthcare industry. And most of the pharma and life science candidates are interested to start their career in this industry, and the domain is your PV, pharmacovigilance. What happens into a pharmacovigilance? Why it is really important domain into the healthcare industry? Let's understand this thing. See, let's assume that you have successfully completed your clinical trial. Now your drug is really giving the best safety and efficacy results. Now, after successfully completion of your clinical trial, what will be the next step that you will take? The next step will be that you will try to launch your product in a market as soon as possible, because that is the ultimate goal of each and every company has. Company want to launch their product in a market as soon as possible, because when you launch your product in a market, from that point of a time, the business and the revenue will start to generate for you. And that is the objective of companies, that to generate the business and the revenue. And to get this business and the revenue continuously, every company want their product should be available in a market for a longer period of time. Means as many years your product will be available in a market, the continuously business and the revenue will generate for you, or you will get that business. And that's the reason every company try to sustain their product in the market, right? So if you really wanted to sustain your product in a market, if you really wanted to keep your product in a market for a longer period of time, it's your responsibility that you have to give the safety and efficacy related information. You have to submit the safety and efficacy reports to the ethics committee on timely basis. It simply means that after 2 years or 5 years, you have to give the safety and efficacy reports to the ethics committee about that product which is available in a market. But now if you just understand this entire scenario, then you will come to know that how you can make it possible. How you can find out the safety and efficacy information about that product which is available in a market. Because when product is available in a market, the mass population is going to consume that product. And it is really difficult for us to understand that which person from which corner of this world is consuming your product and what kind of information he or she is getting, because this situation is not in our control. But anyhow, we have to find out the safety and efficacy information. And here, this pharmacovigilance department plays a very important role. Pharmacovigilance actually collect the information related to the drug activities which is happening in a market. So what is a drug activity happening in a market? It means that how your drug is actually acting in a market. Whether your drug is really giving the best safety and efficacy results in a market, or is there any adverse reaction, adverse event, serious adverse reaction, or any suspected, unexpected serious adverse reaction associated with your product in a market. So if your drug is showing any such kind of reactions in a market, pharmacovigilance department collect that information. After collecting this information, pharmacovigilance department do the detection of it. Detection, it means to find out that which reaction the drug is actually showing in a market. After doing that, they do the assessment. Assessment, it means to find out that who is responsible for this reaction. Whether only the drug is responsible for this reaction, or is there any other factors are associated with it. And the most important work of pharmacovigilance department, that's monitoring. Monitoring, it means to keep the continuously watch on a market activity and find out whether such kind of a single incidence is happen, or is there any multiple incidences are happening in a market. And if any such kind of incidences are happening in a market, then how we can prevent these things, or how we can tackle this situation, that information in the form of report, pharmacovigilance department submits to the ethics committee and to the sponsor company. Now, when you will get this report from the pharmacovigilance department, based on that, you can take a decision whether your product is really liable or eligible to sustain in a market, or if your product is showing any unwanted reactions, then do we have any chance of the scope that we can do some molecular changes and try to reduce these unwanted reactions? And if all these options are not available to us, then the last option left to us is that we may have to remove or we may have to ban the product from the market. And that all the important decisions we are taking after the pharmacovigilance report. And that's the reason this domain plays a very important role into the entire healthcare industry. Right? Now, anybody of you who want to start your career into a PV, you can take a profile as a drug safety associate or a pharmacovigilance scientist. These are the profiles that are available where you can start your career into a pharmacovigilance immediately after completion of your graduation and post-graduation. I hope that you're clear with these three domains: clinical trial management, data management, and pharmacovigilance. Now, moving ahead to the last, again, a very important domain where you can start your career. At that domain is your medical writing. What is the medical writing? Being a pharma and life science candidate, it will be very easy for you to understand what some medical writing is, because on a daily basis or on a regular basis, you are coming across with such kind of information or such kind of a content which gives you the medical or scientific knowledge. It can be anything. It can be any scientific published paper, any article, any journal, any blog, any book, which you read and you're getting any scientific or medical information. We can assume that content or that information may be developed by or designed by any medical or the scientific writer. In fact, before you start the clinical trial, you have to take a permission from the ethics committee that you are going to start your clinical trial in any particular country. And the ethics committee will only give you the permission to start your clinical trial in any particular region or any particular country if you submitted the essential documents to them. So we prior have to submit the essential document which contains the list of documents like protocol, informed consent form, case report form. There is a lots of essential documents out there. We have to first develop that document and we have to submit to the ethics committee. Then the ethics committee will review that document, and based on their observations, they will decide to whether they give you permission or not for the clinical trial. Now, that developing a document, the part that medical writers develop that all the documents. And for all these reasons and for all this purpose and for all these tasks, this medical writer plays a very important role. Now your qualification is highly eligible to start your career into the medical writing, and that's the reason you can definitely focus to start your career here, and you can earn the very good salaries in this medical writing domain. Right? So these are the major core 4 domains into a clinical research: clinical trial management, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, and medical writing. Now, apart from these domains, you can also start your career into the medical coding, medical transcription, business analyst, regulatory affairs. There are multiple profiles are available in a clinical research where you can start your career based on your interested roles and responsibilities. Now, the most important part over here is that why we are discussing these things today. See, we all the people know that every year there are lots of changes are happening in a market. If we talk about the current clinical research industry, which is the most booming industry in the globe right now, because there are lots of new domains, ventures, and the practices are involved in clinical research. And to handle these new domains and the new ventures, the different industries and the companies are also involved in clinical research. And whatever these changes are happening in the market, the most educational eligible criteria, the pharma and life science candidate, has a huge requirement in this industry. But unfortunately, there are so many candidates who don't have awareness, who don't know about it. And as a reason, still there are so many candidates are actually planning to start their career based on the traditional information. It means most of the candidates still assume that they can only take a placements into a QA/QC, production, formulation, R&D, F&D, regulatory affair, or medical representative, or can open the medical shop. But here, the entire clinical research industry is vacant for you, where you can start your career immediately after completion of your graduation and post-graduation. You have to think about it. In fact, there are so many candidates who are not aware that in each industry they can start their career. So if you're qualified enough, if you have a good technical and non-technical knowledge, then this all the industries are available for you where you can start your career immediately with a very good salary package, right? I hope that most of you know about this industry. You know that you can start your career into the IT companies. IT company who handle the healthcare projects, there the pharma and life science candidate has a huge requirement. The companies like a TCS, Accenture, Cognizant, WNS, Mahindra Satyam, Wipro, these are the top IT companies out there who are actually handling the healthcare projects. And here you will find out the huge opportunities out there. Along with the IT company, you also have to focus into the contract research organization. This industry is known as a CRO. Contract research organization is the global top industry who recruits the highest number of pharma life science candidates. Now, why this industry has that much of requirement? Because the contract research organization has a specialty that they can handle the end-to-end task related to the clinical trial. It means contract research organization can do the clinical trial, can manage the data, do the pharmacovigilance, medical writing, medical coding, medical transcription, regulatory affair, every process contract research organization can handle, and that's why they have a huge requirement for pharma and life science candidates, right? So that's the reason you definitely have to focus into this major industries like IT companies, CRO. Along with that, you can also take a placements into the pharma and biotech industry that you already know. You can get placed into the multi-specialty hospital where the clinical trials are going on. You can take a profile out there as a clinical research coordinator or clinical research associate and start your career. Medical communication firm, this industry is also available for you. And also you can take a placements into the research center and institute like Reliance, Tata Research Center. There are multiple institutions out there, R&D setups out there, medical colleges out there, where the continuously research is going on. You can take a placement out there as a research fellow and start your career with a very good salary package. All right. So I believe that whatever we have discussed so far, now you have a very clear-cut picture in your mind that what this clinical research industry is, which are the different domains and the profiles you have available, the huge domain and the profiles you have available where you can start your career based on your own interested roles and responsibilities. And not only restricted with a few industry, you have lots of industries, companies available where you can decide to start your career. And because of all these interesting facts about this industry, so many candidates like you are interested to start their career. The facts like the companies are a multinational, there is no lab work, all the work is on a corporate level and official level jobs are there. The important part over here is that you can start your career immediately after completion of your graduation and post-graduation, because 90 to 95% of requirement in industries are for the freshers candidate. Even you're starting your career as a fresher, the salary packages are very good as compared to any another profile. And because this industry is still non-saturated, that's the reason you have a very good opportunities to get promoted or to get incremented. With this, all the interesting facts, the candidates are interested to start their career in this industry. But here, one thing we need to understand, that you are interested to start your career in this industry, but whether this industry is interested to hire you, that question we definitely have to ask ourselves, that why any company or the industry will hire me, what I have. So if you're thinking that you have completed your qualification and your qualification is highly eligible in this company's profile, and that's the reason the company will hire you or recruit you, then it is not going to be happen. Why it will not happen? Because like you, there are around 15 to 20 lakh pass out candidates coming every year in the market. 15 to 20 lakh pass out candidates. Neither the company has that much of requirement, nor the company has a time to take the interview of all those candidates. And that's the reason to select the candidate, the best candidate out of all this crowd. The company has a different criteria and expectation along with your qualification background. Especially those candidates who are in a final year right now, and the candidate who are already completed or pass out from their graduation and post-graduation, this discussion is really important for them, where you have to understand those criteria and expectation, where you can meet those expectations, crack the interview, and earn the highest salary in the industry. Now, whatever those criteria and expectations are, these are very common and very obvious criteria and expectations nowadays the industries and the company has. You can go any industry, you can take any sector, everywhere you will find out these expectations and the criteria are very common. Now, what the industries are expecting from you nowadays, company is expecting that along with the qualification, candidate should have a good technical knowledge. It means in whichever profile you are planning to start your career, you should have a good technical knowledge about that profile. You should have a good domain specific knowledge. And along with the technical knowledge, candidate should have a good non-technical skills, which contains your good communication skills, your presentation skills, writing skills, uh, your computer knowledge, your computer skills, that everything matters most nowadays, right? In a simple word, we can say that the companies are expecting a professional ready candidate. But you are the freshers now, and how you can develop these professional skills, or how any company can ensure that you really have this all the technical and non-technical skills or not. So to just remove that confusion and to make a very simple thing, okay, the company has a very simple criteria. The company has a very simple expectation, and that simple criteria and the expectation is that company want simply a certified candidate. Company want the candidate who has completed the specialization. And that's the reason nowadays the certification or the specialization plays a very important role in the candidate's career life. Every company, everywhere the certifications are available. If you want to develop your skills, there is a certification available, and the companies are expecting the certified candidate. And that's the reason whatever this company has expectations from you and whatever your expectations are there from the company, considering all this expectation, Clinidia, which is the oldest institute, highly reputed institute, which is ISO certified, and most important, it's a SAS authorized certified partner. Clini India is providing all of you a professional ready training and placement program into a clinical research and pharmacovigilance. Now, there are certain advantages of this certification program. You have to think about it, you have to understand about it, and then you can make your plan. The first and the very big advantage of this certification program is that Clean India offers you a professional ready program. It simply means that currently you're the freshers, and to develop you from fresher to a professional, whatever the technical and non-technical skills are required, that everything you will get in the single certification program. So when you're doing this certification program, you don't have to do anything separately, or you don't have to do anything extra. That everything will be covered up in the single certification program to you. That's a very first advantage. Second advantage is that institute itself is providing you the training and the placement assistance. Means almost everything the institute is providing to you, institute is providing the training to you by the best industry expert peoples. The placement assistance will be provided by the institute to you. So if everything the institute is providing to you, then as a candidate, what you have to do, you have to just focus on the certification program. You have to take the certification program seriously. You have to develop yourself up to the mark that you can immediately crack your interview into the industry with a very good salary package. Because it may possible that every certified candidate will get a placements into the industry, but everybody will not get the same package. It's also not possible too. So if you're looking to start your career into a very good company with a very good salary package, it's totally depend that how you're going to give the interview in that company. And how you're going to give the interview in that company, it's totally depend that how you have taken this certification program, how much technical and non-technical knowledge you have. That's the reason it's really important for you to take this certification program seriously and develop yourself, right? Last and the very big advantage of this certification program is that whatever we are discussing it right now, that everything you can do by just online live mode. It means to do this certification program, you don't have to relocate, you don't have to go anywhere. Wherever you are, by sitting at home, connecting your sessions, your certification with the mobile or the laptop, you can complete this training program by online live mode. That is the very easiest and the comfortable option nowadays the candidate has. And especially those candidates who are in a final year right now, whatever daily activities that you're doing, either you're doing your practicals, your college, or whatever you're doing, you can do all these things, and you have to attend this session at evening time. We are also make the time comfortable for all the college going students, the professionals or the trainers who are taking a trainer, and the people who are already working into the industry. For them, the evening time is comfortable. Your session start at 7 o'clock or 7:30. Each session will be 1 or 1.5 hours, and within the 4 month of a time, the certification duration is a 4 month. In the 4 month of a time, you can complete your certification, you develop professionally, you are a certified candidate, and immediately after completion of your final year, without wasting your time and creating a gap, you can start your career immediately. All right. So that's the reason it's advisable to all the final year candidate students that immediately start your certification program. So before final year examination, you are completed with the certification, you are professionally developed, and after the completion of your final examination, you can start to take the placement. Right? So I hope that whatever I have discussed with you so far, you have understand each and everything, every point is clear to you, right? And I believe that whatever we have discussed today, that all the information will definitely help you out to make your good career plans. But still, if you not understand any point, if there is any confusion, if you have any questions or query, you can please ask me. I will try to give the satisfied answers of your question. All right, so that's all from my side, my dear friends. I hope that you are satisfied with the discussion. We are starting the question answering session now. And meanwhile, the question answering sessions are going on. I request you all the participants that you can start to fill the feedback form. Your feedbacks are really important for us. If you have any questions, you can also ask these questions into the feedback form. But if we are connected live over here, it's better you can ask the question to me here, and I will try to give the satisfied answers to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vishal sir, for imparting your deep knowledge onto the students. Dr. Hitesh sir, can we please start the question answering session now? If students have any questions, they can ask away their questions.
Okay, ma'am. So any query, any questions from any student?
No question.
Ma'am, can we do one thing? We can ask our query along with the feedback, if you permit.
Yes, yes, absolutely. When students
Hello,
will fill the feedback form,
Hello.
yes,
now-
if the
I'm
students have any questions, they can ask the feedback form as well.
You please share the feedback link with me. I myself will take care of that. And if any query of any student, I will ask from you on behalf of the
Surely.
student.
Absolutely.
So shall we conclude the session?
Yes, sir. Vishal sir, should we move with vote of thanks?
Sure, we can move ahead for the vote of thanks. Thank you.
So now I'm requesting our Chief Development Officer, ma'am, Dr. Nidhi Chaudhary, for vote of thanks. I'm handing over the session to Dr. Nidhi Chaudhary, ma'am, for vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Dr. Hitesh. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Thank you, Dr. Hitesh. Thank you all. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. To the one and all present here, Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Vishal Chaudhary, respected Dr. Hitesh Kinger, sir, and all the participants. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you all. On behalf of the Pharmacy Department, Pratap University, I would like to express my gratitude to all the esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and the contribution to make this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Vishal Chaudhary, to take out time from his busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words on this particular special day. A special thanks to Dr. Hitesh Kinger for providing immense support to make this webinar successful. I must thank Ms. Vanchika as well as Ms. Swapna, Pharmacy Department, Pratap University, and the organizing team for working hard for the past few days to make this webinar successful. I congratulate all the participants for their active participation. Thank you, everyone, once again for making it a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity to have an interaction with your students. It was such a pleasure for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Deep, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, close the session, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.